All right, hello, and thank you everyone for logging in. Appreciate your attendance. We are going today talk about effective objection handling, as you can see on the screen here. And the key word here, my dear friends, is effective. A lot of people think they know how to handle objections, but actually they don't. So if somebody says to you, for example, you have some product or service to offer, and somebody says, oh, this is really expensive, then what a lot of people do, they don't handle the objection, they get into an argument. They become argumentative. They start saying stuff like, no, it's not expensive. You get this, that, and the other. And, you know, this is all the benefits under the sun and so on. This is not objection handling. That's called arguing with the client, and it's not a good thing to do. So very important. This is going to be effective objection handling here today. So we'll spend about 60 minutes on this, and then maybe a little less, we will see. And then I will also open the microphones for a Q&A session. Those of you who are watching the replay, that's the disadvantage of not joining live. You cannot ask any questions, but those of you who are joining live here today, as a token of appreciation, you will have the possibility and the option to ask questions. So I hope you find that useful. If you find that to be a good thing, you can put a thumbs up in the chat box, or as a reaction on Zoom. I'm also streaming to some other platforms, so there, if you can just type good or just put a thumbs up. In case you're wondering why I keep looking sideways, I have a control screen here, and that's where I see what's happening here in the webinar. So in case you wonder, I'm here, why is this guy not looking at me? I'm looking at you as much as I can, but sometimes I need to take a look here as well. I have muted everybody. If you want, you can, of course, start your video. I'm always happy to see people joining and actually seeing people. I'm a live person. This whole online webinar stuff is something, for me at least, that was born out of necessity, because the last 2 years I haven't been really able to do anything live, but I'm coming back to this very soon. End of May, I'm going to do my first live event again in Dubai. Can't wait. And then hopefully see all of you there live. But yeah, do turn your cameras on if you're joining live. And if you have any questions later on, you can just put your hand up, and then we will go and do a Q&A. Until then, I'll just keep everyone muted so we don't interrupt each other. What's very important is that you please, by all means, take notes. Notes are super important. The reason being that I'm going to give you a lot of value today, a lot of content, a lot of nuggets, and it's probably going to be very difficult to remember all of this. Also, if you haven't done so already, if you are joining on Zoom or any other platform, please make sure you put the screen on speaker view so that you see me fully, because sometimes I will switch over to this presentation and then potentially also add my little picture up here. So if you have me as in gallery view, then it's going to be very little picture and you're not going to be able to get all the content properly. So please put this on speaker view if you haven't done so already. In terms of chat messages, I would recommend you to focus, write things down. If you have questions, maybe just write them down on a piece of paper, on your computer, on your phone, or wherever, and then wait until the end, because maybe if I explain something and the question comes up in your head, and then you realize, I totally need to ask this question, but maybe in the next sentence or the next piece of information, that question will already be answered. So this way we avoid unnecessary back and forth. I will answer all your questions if you have any, but I would recommend you to just keep them until the end and then put them in the chat later on. I also don't have the time now to obviously read the chat. I need to focus on everybody here and giving you value and content. I hope you find that useful. What I would like you to do, though, to put in the chat real quick, just write where you're logging in from, which city, which country, and then we'll have a quick look. You can just put there where you're logging in from. I see you. Hi, Matt. Pleasure to meet you again. Likewise, Ishan. Let's see. Just put in where you're dialing in from, where you're logging in from, where you're located. I don't need your address. I don't need your credit card details. I don't need your shoe size. I just want to know from where, which city you're dialing in. Always takes a little bit of time for people to respond. That's okay. I think most of you are probably dialing in from Dubai or from India, probably. Yes. Awesome, Matt. Saurabh. Hi, Saurabh. How are you? Ishan is saying India. Yeah. Hi, Matt. I'm dialing in from Dubai, UAE. Arpan, very good. Hello. Dubai is my second home. I'm actually German, but Dubai is definitely my second home since 1990. Long time. Nora saying, logging in from Saudi Arabia. Nice to meet everyone. Awesome. Saudi Arabia, huge market. I congratulate you for joining, because everything that has to do with sales, modern approach towards business and so on, this is really just starting to pick up in Saudi Arabia. So thumbs up for you. Yeah. So thanks very much for the comments. I appreciate that, and for the feedback. So again, please take notes. And then before we get started, I just wanted to share 3 very important facts with you, so that you know a little bit who you're dealing with here and what this is all about. Fact number 1: everything I tell you is actually based on my own personal experience. I've built multiple businesses in the past. I have failed. I have gotten up. Actually, there is no failure, only lessons. That's at least my mantra. Everything is based on my own experience. I'm not one of these coaches who take somebody else's content and then declare it their own, read maybe 2 or 3 books, and then they think they're ready for the world. That's not coaching. That is the information delivery, because coaching actually starts when people start having problems to put into reality what they have learned. Yeah, it's what I explain you today here. If I had no experience with this, I won't be able to help you with objections. Objections are things that actually come from the field, so to say. Fact number 2, very important: everything I tell you in terms of data, facts, figures, and so on, this is all scientifically proven. I'm not one of these people who go up to a mountaintop and have an epiphany or something and feel enlightened, and now they want to give you the information. I'm a very spiritual person, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to business stuff, we need concrete facts. So this is all scientifically proven and not some just blah blah. And the third fact, my dear friends, and this is probably the most important one: I can tell you here whatever I want to tell you and serve everything to you on a silver platter. This is all worthless and pointless unless it gets put into practice. And you can already probably guess it, the one who needs to put this into practice is you. You alone need to put this into practice, what you learn, set the wheels in motion, as I call it. And typically, there's actually a fourth fact, kind of. You typically have 72 hours, so 3 days, to put things into practice. The way the human brain is built is that if we don't put new things that we have learned, this is not just applicable to this webinar, anything in life, anything new that we hear or learn or also read, if we don't try to put this into practice within the next 72 hours, typically we tend to not do it. So please make sure, write this down as a note if you haven't written anything down yet. In the next 3 days, the next 72 hours, I will put this into practice. Super, super important. Please do that. So that's just what I wanted to share with you in terms of important fact. Now, or facts, excuse me. Now, I have a question for you. What's the purpose of an objection? What do you think? Somebody was asking here, can we get the recording later? We'll talk about that later. Pay attention now. This is something, please don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to put you down. What's your name? A. Okay, that's a great name, by the way. Very creative. We need to get a little bit away from this principle of let's record everything. This is being recorded. I will put this on my YouTube channel later on for sure, but be in the moment. You're here, you have possibility to learn right now, take lots of notes, be here. When there's a live event that you would go to, there's also no recording. Yeah, so not saying that it's bad to have recordings. I am recording and I will make it available, but the focus needs to be, try to focus now. It's a little, we have gotten a little bit out of focus in the last 2 years, I think, because everything's online, everything is recorded. Be in the moment, live in the moment, also learn in the moment. I hope that helps answer the question. So what's the purpose of an objection? If you can put in the chat box real quick your opinion, what do you think is the purpose of an objection typically? Give you a couple of moments. Just put it in the chat box. Okay, so Arpan is saying purpose of objection could be to get clarity on their doubts or sometimes to avoid the sales pitch. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I like that. People give you an objection before you actually even pitch, right? So purpose of an objection, yeah, it can be, you can see it from 2 sides, from the one who is presenting something, the one who wants to get his or her agenda through. Very important fact also, my dear friends, what we're talking about, objection and sales, I will quickly touch base on the sales cycle in a moment. I actually explained that in last week's session, but I'm just going to touch on it real quick because objection handling is part of that. So when we talk about sales, a lot of people can't really give you a proper definition of sales. My definition of sales is to get your agenda through. And the objection handling we're going to do today, I will give you some examples that are not just business related, also life related. Yeah, so This way you can see objections from two sides. From somebody who's doing an objection, it's probably like Arpan said here, that people want to avoid. People potentially also want to challenge you. They want to get clarity for sure. But also from our perspective, if we are presenting something, if it's a product, a service, an idea, anything that has to do, like I said, with getting your agenda through, for us, it's also an opportunity. So you should be really thankful if somebody gives you objections, because it gives you an opportunity to present again the details or really point out what the benefits are of what you're saying, your product, your service, your idea, and so on. So it's actually a good thing. Yeah. So don't be hesitant or afraid of objections. After today's session, you're probably going to be in your next conversation that has anything to do with you getting your agenda through. You're probably going to be excited, like, yes, I'm waiting for the objection. And that's at least how my conversations go. I cannot wait to get objections because I love dismantling them. So we're gonna talk about that today. Then Ayesha is saying, purpose of objection, questions your credentials. Yeah, to some extent, people want to test you a little bit. Maybe that's what you mean. Yeah, that's also true. People want to test a little bit. Does this guy or girl know what he or she is doing? Yeah. It's a it's a very good point, actually. Thank you for the input. What's very important, my dear friends, is to also understand and differentiate between an objection and an excuse. This is not the same thing. So if somebody tries to avoid, like Arpan said, the sales pitch, doesn't want to listen to you, is not interested in your product, service, your idea, etc., then it could also be an excuse. So something like, oh, I don't think I have time for this, and so on. This could be an excuse. So part of the objection handling process, which you're going to learn today, is also about finding out, is this really an objection or is this an excuse? And then there's also so-called buying signals, but I'll talk about this in a moment. So that's very, very important. One of the purposes to understand why we should be so focused on handling objections and not just getting into arguments and discussions, like I said in the beginning. Is this an objection or is it really just an excuse? Yeah, because if it's an excuse, then there's no need for you to have a long conversation about that. Yeah, okay, good. Then I just want to give you a very, very quick intro about myself, so you have a bit of an idea who on earth is this Matt guy. So these here, what you see on top, are my three main topics, so to say: motivation, mindset, income. Those are my three main topics that I talk about, that I coach on. And I've been doing this for a long time. As you can see here, 15 years, actually 16 years this year. I need to update this. I've been to more than 30 countries, lived and worked in 30 countries. This is not just touristic visits. So I've been in lots of places. I was in the hotel business for a very long time. Out of the hotel business, actually, my passion for coaching started, because in the hotel business, I was also coaching people and teams, opening hotels across the world for big hotel chains. And that's why I have been to so many places and lived in lots of different places. And I have touched quite a few lives, as you can see here. So it's been an interesting journey throughout the years. I've also had the pleasure of working with some pretty cool people. I'm sure you know these two, or at least one of them, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Mike Tyson. And you might be thinking, okay, how come? Yeah, well, if you go to lots of places, you meet lots of people. So I can just tell you, just based on these two examples, people very often are very different as they are perceived, especially when it's celebrities. And I'm telling you this also and showing you these pictures in order for you to understand that you always need to have a very, very, very open mind and not be driven by what other people say, what other people think, and so on. When I met Mike Tyson, I was a little tense, actually. But if you look at the picture here, over there, where is it? Here, there. This picture, then you see he's actually a very friendly guy. Yeah, he's actually a little bit of a shy person. You wouldn't think that he used to be the biggest puncher of all times. So people are very different, and that's why I'm showing you these pictures, not to show you, oh, you know, I've met this and that celebrity. A lot of people have met celebrities, not a big thing, but just for you to understand, really, people are very often very different than they might be presented or perceived in the media. Can you guys put a quick thumbs up in the chat box, or as a reaction, just to let me know if you find this useful so far, if you find this interesting, if this is what you expected, or it's like, oh, total crap, I don't care, I want to get out of this. You just put a thumbs up, or as a reaction, or in the chat box, just for me to have a bit of an idea if this is what. Yeah, I see a couple of thumbs up. Very good. Thank you very much. This is the thing, if you're a live person like I am, I don't see reactions. That's the problem. But anyway, we we are dealing with it. We've gotten used to it. And like I said, end of May, I'm going back to live events, and the first one will be in Dubai. I also wanted to show you one quick picture here, which is what I call my rock bottom, my turning point. So in case you're thinking, yeah, you know, wealthy European, German, all the Germans are wealthy. That's also not true, by the way. I know a lot of Germans who are not wealthy, and I don't consider myself wealthy either. Yeah, you know, generous upbringing and never had any issues, no problems. That's something that thought, when it comes to me, you can erase from your mind. This was a picture of the inside of my fridge a couple of years ago. And yeah, this is not just decoration or just for fun. There was no money to buy food. Okay, so if you're going through something today in your life, if you have issues or something, I just wanted to let you know, it's never the end of the road. You can always recover and you can always come back. I'm probably the living example. I've fallen on my face so many times in my life. What's important is that you always get up one more time than you fall down. It's like that. And like I said, there are no failures, only lessons. At least that's my opinion. So if you have something going on in your life, do not worry. Life goes on. It always does. Very quick. Last week, I talked about the sales cycle, and this video is on the YouTube channel as well. You can look at it. I'm not going to repeat all of this today, but I just wanted to very quickly touch on this, what the different stages of the sales cycle are. So if we do a sales cycle, what that means basically is that, let me just come back here, is that there's different stages in which we should operate if we want to sell something. And sales, again, is about getting your agenda through, not only about a product or a service that you want to exchange with someone versus a payment. So these are the different stages. Just very quick recap so just that you know in which order. I'm not going to repeat this all now because then we'll be here for another 3 hours. So we need to do a people analysis, or also known as a business analysis. We need to do a pain analysis. What kind of pain does this person have, this business? What kind of issues? This isn't necessarily physical pain. This pain in terms of problems, issues, things are not working, opportunities. In modern lingo, there are no problems, there are only opportunities. So this is something we need to analyze as well. Then we have what I call the pain strengthening. We make the pain a little bit stronger. We paint a picture and make people understand and realize that their problem, if they don't resolve their issue, their problem, their opportunity, then it's only going to get worse. This is part of the sales cycle, just as a very quick piece of info here so that you know where we're coming from in terms of when we go into objection handling. Then there's something called a test buy. This is a way of phrasing, if you do this and that, will that help your customer, your client, the person that you're talking to? If you do this and that, you offer this and that, will that cure the pain, satisfy the need, and so on? And then what we do next in the sales cycle is the offer and close. This, my dear friends, is what 99% of all salespeople actually start with. This is my product, this is my service, this is my idea. It's the best thing under the sun. It has this, that, and the other feature. Completely wrong. Yeah, if you haven't seen my talk about the sales cycle, I will paste the link here later on to my YouTube channel. You can watch it. I think it's really important to understand that offer and close is not what we start with, and I want you to be part of the other 1% that are ultra successful with sales, and not the other 99% who are mediocrely successful, if at all. And then actually objection handling, this is the last piece or the last part of the sales cycle. Once we have done the analysis of people, business, pain, strengthened the pain, done a test buy, and so on, and offered and try to close. We should, of course, always try to close everyone who's closable, but also very important for us to understand, not everyone that you talk to is closable. Not everyone's going to buy into your idea. Not everyone's going to buy your product or service, but whoever is closable, we should close them. So the idea of the sales cycle, also objection handling, which is part of it, is that we don't go through this lengthy process of talking to a potential client 5 times until we make an offer and so on. We want to make the offer actually during the first conversation. This should be the idea, and we should also close the business during the first conversation. That's the idea. And objection handling is part of that. And today I will explain you how this works. bring you closer to getting your agenda through, getting your ideas through. That's what it's all about. So here again, real quick, maybe you just you can take a screenshot, take a picture with your phone, or just write it down real quick. I'll give you 1 minute. Those are the steps of the sales cycle, and we're now going to talk in detail about objection handling. I'll give you a minute to write this down. Okay, I think that should be enough time. Like I said, take a picture or not, or if you want a picture with me and and a screenshot, and then we will move on. So very important, there are generally 3 motives for action. The 3 motives for action is important for us to understand, because if we are able to activate those motives in a person, then we are halfway there, maybe even more than halfway, when it comes to dealing with objections. And those 3 motives, my friends, are these 3. Excitement. You should be able to excite somebody whom you're talking to when it comes to objections, or the sales cycle in general. When you talk about getting your agenda through, your product, your service, your idea, something you want to convince somebody else of, you should get the person excited. This is the ideal scenario. Another one is relaxation, meaning relaxation in terms of solving a problem. So if you, this is why it's so important in the sales cycle also to do a proper pain analysis. If you are able to satisfy a need, a desire, if you're able to resolve a problem, if you generate this kind of emotion, this kind of motive in the person you're talking to, then you are very close to actually succeeding with whatever it is that your agenda is. So that's something. Trying to solve a problem. The problem solvers are those also in terms of when it comes to business and generating revenue, and really enormous revenue. Those who are able to solve problems are the ones who usually become ultra successful. And there's lots of examples. So excitement, relaxation, and the third one is, just press the button here. Yeah. The third one is fantasy. So if you can paint a picture in a person's head of how it's going to be, and this is also part of the objection handling process, but also, for example, about the offer and close when you do go through the sales cycle. If you can generate a trigger, some kind of fantasy in a person's head, how it's going to be with your product, with your service, with your agenda, with your idea. This also comes, like I said, the whole process is also applicable to private life. Yeah, if you want to date somebody and you can paint a picture in that person's head how great life is going to be with you, what kind of wonderful things you're going to experience together, then yeah, you have a huge advantage over all the other people who want to date that person, because they don't know how to do this. Yeah, so that's why I say always understand sales is a life skill. Yeah, so those are the 3 things, the 3 motives to get people into activity: excitement, relaxation, and fantasy. Okay, so please make sure you write this down and you get really this into your head, that ideally you should try to trigger those. Okay, good. Now, what I would like to go through is what I call the most common objections. I have prepared a long list for you. We're just going to go through this just as a heads up. If you now realize when we go through these objections, objections that you have heard, or that maybe you also use if you don't want to buy something or want to buy into somebody's idea, or if you have the feeling that whatever is being presented to you, whether it's in business or in life, that is not what you're interested in, write them down already. We can go through those later on, but I'm sure the ones I'm going to talk to you about, you have probably seen or heard them before, or maybe even used them yourself. So now let's go through and have a look here. So the most common ones, and again, this is by no means a complete list. There are a million objections under the sun, but we're just going to go through the ones that are the most common ones. So first of all, maybe you've heard this before: this is expensive, or also this is too expensive. Can you just write me or yes in the chat box if you have heard this before? This is expensive, or this is too expensive. Have you heard that before? Has anyone ever said that to you? I would be very curious to see. Nora is saying, I'm always honest about my offering, opposite of fantasy. This usually works. What about that? We'll come to this in a moment. Yeah, we'll come to this when we do the Q&A. So yeah, I see here, yes, often, yes, 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 always. Yeah. It's a very typical objection. Now, very important, my friends, is to understand that this is expensive. What I put here on the PowerPoint, this is expensive and this is too expensive. Those are actually two different objections. It's not the same. So if somebody says this is expensive, or it means that, yeah, overall it's expensive, they do understand that there's a certain cost associated. But if somebody says it's too expensive, they are under the impression it's overpriced. So those objections we need to handle in a different way. So let's start with this is expensive. So if somebody says this is expensive, what most people do, they say, yeah, but, you know, and then they explain all the benefits. Please don't do this. This is not objection handling. This is arguing. Yeah. So if somebody says this is expensive, what's very important in objection handling is that you use a principle called paraphrasing. Whatever objection you get, and there's a million ways to handle this. I'm just primarily going to talk about paraphrasing today because it's the most effective and easiest to learn way of handling objections. So excuse me, paraphrasing means you take whatever's being said to you and turn this around into a question or into some kind of a deeper analysis of what the person is saying. So if somebody's saying this is expensive, what you should always do in terms of objection handling is to show a bit of compassion. Showing compassion is, you can say, for example, stuff like, yes, I understand where you're coming from. You can also tilt your head a little bit and nod. Nodding is always very good when it comes to objection handling, because you're taking the fire out of the conversation. You're not trying to argue or, you know, give people your benefits of what you're offering and so on, but you're showing compassion that you actually understand that this is something that they are concerned about, and now you want to have a conversation about this. This is totally different from, yeah, but it's not expensive, you know, look at this and that. And yeah, this is very, very different kind. It's a very mellow approach, and this will get you closer to your goal. That's what we want to achieve. So this is expensive. What you can say as an example is, you can ask a question. You can say, okay, I understand, I see. If now, when you say this is expensive, in comparison to what? In comparison to what? Because expensive, yeah, price conversations is always a matter of, yeah, you know, the person's view that you're talking about. For somebody, a product that costs, I don't know, 50,000 dirhams might be super expensive. For other people, it might be super cheap. This is always a matter of perspective. So if somebody says, you know, this is really expensive, or this is expensive, you can say, okay, I understand that you see it this way. Now, when you say this is expensive, in comparison to what? And then let the person explain why this is expensive. The big bonus of handling objections this way is that potentially people will then realize that the objections they have just given you are actually completely pointless. They kind of dismantle them potentially themselves. So less work for you. As I always say, good salespeople don't talk a lot. Good salespeople ask a lot of questions. Yeah. So this is one approach you can go. Then when we come to somebody saying this is too expensive, this is different. Yeah. So if somebody says this is too expensive, then you can say something like, okay, now based on your budget, what price range were you looking for? Not, okay, yeah, you know, this is also something a lot of people give up too soon. If somebody says to you, your product, your service is too expensive, and now we're more on the business side than the life side, and we'll come to this later on, I promise. I will give you some examples also about job interviews, about dating, and so on. So just bear with me, and then I will give you more examples. I have a long list. So this is too expensive. A lot of people who want to sell something, want to offer a product or a service, they give up too easily. Yeah, they're like, okay, this guy doesn't have the money for it, and so on. He's saying it's too expensive. Okay, then fine. You know, conversation is over. I go home. Yeah, you know, that's not what you should do. Don't give up too quick. Don't give up too soon. So too expensive means somebody has the sense that you're charging too much or something, but then you can ask, I understand that you find this too expensive. This is how you see it. But in what budget frame were you thinking? What were you looking for? And because then potentially, and I'll give you another example of this type of conversation, price conversations. maybe there is something else you can offer. Generally speaking, this is not part of objection handling, but just a quick side info. Whatever it is that you offer in product or service, you should always have 3 prices, a 3-price strategy. We can talk about this in detail another time, but if somebody doesn't buy the middle product, the middle price is what you should be targeting. This is what you want to close the business into, but you should have potential to upsell something, and you should also be able to downsell something. So in order to not lose the business completely and all your effort was for nothing. So if you get this kind of objection, this is too expensive, you could potentially then go to the lower price offer that you have and not lose the business completely. And I can just tell you, based on my own experience, like I said before, sometimes customers, clients come on board, they buy something low price at the beginning, but later on they become some of your highest paying clients. So maybe it's just a matter of threshold. People don't trust you enough yet to give you 50K or whatever it costs what you're charging. So you should have a potential to start at a lower price, at least get a foot in the door, bring the client in, over deliver on whatever it is that you offer, and then you could also still upgrade them at a later stage. Yeah. So that's why this is too expensive. Like I said, do not give up too quick and not too soon. Then this is what I was just saying, another piece in terms of pricing conversation. Can you do something about the price? Yeah, so if you're a funny person, you can say, yeah, we can color the zeros. Don't do that, it's a joke, yeah. So can you do something about the price? This is where a lot of people also fail. Instead of saying, oh, no, this is our price and it's the best and everything and la, la, la. You can say, Mr. Customer, if you tell me which part of my offer you do not need, then we can have a look what we can do. This is something you can say. Or you could say, I can do something about the price. You would just need to tell me which part of my offer I should remove. Yeah, so now you're offering to reduce what you have. Of course, this needs to be in line with whatever it is that you offer. If you offer something that doesn't have different components, then first of all, I would highly recommend you to create some kind of offer like this if you don't have that already today. But if you do have that, then you can say something like this. I'll repeat again. So yeah, can you do something about the price? You know, sure. If you just tell me which part of my offer, which component of my offer you would like me to remove. Okay, so this is something you can do. Another thing you can do in terms of price conversations, I'll give you one more example, is that if somebody says it's expensive, too expensive, you can also try to use a picturesque kind of language so that you kind of paint a picture in a person's head. You can say something like, Mr. Customer, let's take the price for a moment and throw that overboard. So now you're creating this picture that somebody has this vision. Okay, there's something that I'm worried about. It's being thrown overboard. It's out of the way. And then you can continue the conversation. Yeah. So there's lots of different ways how you can steer this. Just don't get into a price argument and so on. Just try to really get across that what you're offering has a certain value, but don't argue with the people. Yeah. Use arguments in terms of getting people to understand that you are open for a conversation. Like I said, always, nod and tilt your head a little bit. You can smile. Smile also helps, and handle it this way when it comes to price conversations. Yeah, this is how you can do it. And then coming back to what I said initially about differentiation between an objection and an excuse. When it comes to price conversations, you could also say, apart from the price, is there anything else that is not in line with what you're looking for? Because now you can find out, and you can use this for anything, any objection, doesn't matter if it's price or something else. I'll give you more examples in a moment. But if you use that sentence, if you phrase it that way, then you can find out, is this really an objection or is this just some kind of excuse? Yeah. So apart from XYZ, is there anything else that's stopping you from saying that you want to work with us? Is there anything else that is on your mind? Is there anything else that's in the way of our future cooperation and so on? You can use your own words, just like in a overall, kind of, what do you call this? An overall approach. Let's say, apart from this and that, is there anything else that, and so on. Yeah. So there's lots of ways how you can do this. Okay. So you can let me know real quick if you find this useful. You have now already 3 objections that you know how to handle. Just put in the chat box real quick, put a thumbs up, or as a reaction, just give me a quick comment. Is this useful? Do you find that I say here, wow, great one. Thank you very much. I'm happy if you feel that way. I see a thumbs up. Yes, very useful. Okay, and there's more. We still have some time to. There's more coming. Faraz is saying thumbs up. Hi, Faraz. How are you? If you are the Faraz that I think you are, I think I saw you on the camera before, so it's probably you. Okay, very good. So I'm glad to see that you find this useful. Now, let's move on. There he is. I see him. Okay. So very typical objection as well. I can't afford this. Depending what you're offering, I can't afford this. Now, can the person really not afford it? Okay, maybe. But I'll give you an example. So me, for example, I also offer courses. Yeah, I have a sales course. I have a course on how to generate income from the financial market. Like I said before, motivation, mindset, income, those are my 3 topics. I have courses and I have events and so on. So if somebody says, for example, yeah, you know, I can't afford this to come to an event. I can't afford the course and so on. So now a lot of people would give up. They would say, oh, okay, if you can't afford it, yeah, don't know. Then some people are like, oh yeah, why don't you go and get a loan or something? Please don't do that. This is not a good way of having a sales conversation. So if somebody says to me, I can't afford this, I say, okay, I understand. Now the question you should really be asking yourself, can you afford to not do this, to not participate, to not try this, and so on, whatever it is that you're offering? Yeah. So if it's about my events, as an example, somebody says, oh, Matt, you know, the ticket prices, actually, I think they're very low, but this again is always a matter of perception and viewpoint of the person. Ticket prices, you know, I can't afford this, you know. Okay, I understand. But the question you should really be asking yourself, can you afford to miss this? Because what is the worst case scenario? Now, this is also something you can bring in when you have conversations about pricing. Worst case scenario, Mr. Customer, is that you spend X amount, 150 dirhams, for example, on a ticket, and you realize that what I'm telling you, the ideas I'm giving you, how to start a business, how to deal with customers, how to deal with sales, how to generate income, how to become a speaker, potentially lots of potential income in the speaking business. The worst thing that can happen to you is that you hear all these things from me and you realize that this is absolutely not for you. But then you have assurance that whatever it is that I talk about is not for you. Is it not worth spending 150 dirhams on that to have peace of mind afterwards that whatever it is that I do and offer is not useful for you? Wouldn't that be a way to think about it? Yeah, so this is also how you can tackle this and try to like do the worst case scenario. Of course, if you have something that has a very high price tag, then it's a little bit difficult to say, oh yeah, you know, if you it's great if you know you can just if you just spend 50,000 dirhams on this and that, and then you realize it's not for you. Yeah, you know, then you know. This of course has to be in line with the price tag. So if it's like my tickets for my events, they typically start at 150 dirhams. This is something that I can use. Yeah, so this depends on what you're offering, but try to like make people understand that they should think from a different perspective. Don't think about, can I afford this? Think about, how can I afford this? That's something that you can trigger when somebody says, I can't afford this, I don't have the money, and so on. So this is another way of handling that that objection. Then we have, as an example, again, these are just examples. Yeah, there's a million of them. So now we come more into a little bit away from the price conversations. We already have a supplier. One of my favorite ones, I think my camera just went off. We had this problem last week. Give me a second. We're back. Yes, okay. So we already have a supplier. I'm sure you've heard this before. If you are in the business world, you have some product or service that you're offering to people. We already have a supplier. So what most people do here, again, they give up. They say, oh, okay, this is so typical. You know, people spend so much time on getting phone numbers and names and companies or people they want to call. They pick up the phone. They're like, you know, so motivated, and they're like, okay, today, you know, I'm gonna nail 5 new clients, and everything's gonna be wonderful. And then they start calling people, and they get this answer, yeah, you know, we already have a supplier. Oh, okay, all right, thank you. No, don't do that. So if somebody says to me, we already have a supplier, I typically don't get this objection because it's not the field that I'm in. But if I would, for example, call a company and say, hey, you know, I want to offer you corporate coachings, and they say, yeah, but we already have a supplier. my response is, and please write this down. I hope you're taking lots of notes, hopefully, as I recommended in the beginning. If somebody says to me, we already have a supplier, we're already working with somebody, anything in that context, I would say, Mr. Customer, it's completely clear to me that you already have a supplier, a company, a man, a woman of your format. Yeah, you use whatever works for you here. Not having a supplier already, it's clear to me that this is not the case. But what I do want to talk to you about is whether or not this supplier is the perfect match. You could also say, I do understand, and I already expected that you have a supplier. That's why it makes even more sense to have a conversation with me. Yeah, try to get people to understand that this is a benefit. Then it makes even more sense to have a conversation with me, because two possible scenarios. Either you find out you are already working with the best-in-class service, the best-in-class supplier, the best company, whatever, or you realize that there is potential to get something even better, have a better maintenance contract, have a better offering, have a better coaching service, and so on. Yeah. So I'll repeat again, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, whatever. It is clear to me, or it was clear to me, that a company, a man, a woman of your format already has a supplier, a business partner, a maintenance partner, etc. But then it makes even more sense to have a conversation, because there are two possible scenarios. Either you realize you're already working with the best in class, or you realize that there is potential to get something even better. And then you can use an additional magic sentence, which I also shared last week in the sales cycle, but I'll just add this here as well. So when you have said this, two scenarios and so on, does that sound like a fair suggestion? Yeah, so don't argue. Don't argue with people, just give them some food for thought, something to think about. And I would say more than half of the times when you use this way of objection handling, when it comes to this topic of we already have a supplier, a business partner, whatever, you will probably at least have the person's attention and potentially be able to schedule an appointment, have a conversation. Not everybody's gonna buy into this. Like I said in the beginning, not everyone's closable. But if you approach it this way, then you can handle the objection this way. We already have a supplier. You can tackle it that way. I hope you're having a couple of wow moments in your mind that this is very different from what you might be used to, hopefully. All right, then another one. I don't know if this is the right thing for me. This is something, for example, if you're looking to bring freelancers on board or people who work with you on a commission basis, I don't know if this is the right thing for me, because people are worried that, yeah, they don't earn unless they actually produce revenue. Then again, paraphrasing, you can use that and you can say, okay, I understand. Under what circumstances would this be the right thing for you? Yeah, try to paraphrase, try to turn this around. Under what circumstances would this be the right thing for you? What is missing in order for this to be the right thing for you? Yeah, I need to move forward a little bit because I don't want to keep it too long, and I have a couple more examples, but this one, for example, paraphrasing, perfect way of handling it. Under what circumstances would this be the right thing for you? What's missing in order for this to be the right thing for you, and so on. Don't argue like, no, this is totally the right thing for you. You have, this, that, and the other skill, and that's what we're looking for. You're worried about your commissions and so on. Don't be worried. Everything is going to be fine. This is argumentative. Yeah, don't do that. Don't have a discussion and take the heat out of the conversations. Yeah, under what circumstances would this be the right thing for you? What's missing, and so on. Paraphrase, turn the objection around in order to have a solid and smooth conversation. Another one, I don't think I'm able to do this. This is also something, if you want to hire somebody, for example, who is maybe not ready yet or doesn't feel ready yet, maybe is not so confident that they can do this, they would say something like this. Let me just bring this back so you can write it down also. I don't think I'm able to do this. But you really, really want to bring this person on board, and you know that they can do it, but maybe they don't know themselves yet. Then you could say, let me just come back here. I don't think I'm able to do this. You can say, what do you think you are lacking in order to be able to do this? Because now you can have a conversation about what is the fear factor, what's the fear, why is the fear, how can you potentially take the fear out, and so on. Yeah, paraphrase again. I don't think I'm able to do this. What do you think is missing? What would you need in order to be able to do this? If it's about a job, again, for example, you want to promote somebody internally, then they say, oh yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this, but you really, really want this person to take that job and move them forward. You could say something like, okay, but what would we have to do or have to offer you, train you on, provide you more information on, in order for you to feel comfortable to do this? Yeah, so this is how you can paraphrase that and make that turn this into a conversation about what can be done and not what cannot be done. Next one, I don't have time for this. One of my favorite ones. Again, also if you want to bring freelancers on board, for example, or if you have some kind of a business that involves some kind of direct selling, for example, so also business that's becoming more and more popular. A lot of people unfortunately mistake direct selling for some kind of a scam. Absolutely not. But you hear this a lot in this field, for example. I don't have time for this. Yeah. Then a very simple question, very way to dismantle that. Okay, again, always nod, show compassion, smile a little bit. Okay, how much time do you think you're gonna need in order to be able to do this? Don't argue, it's totally different, right? Versus, oh no, don't worry, it's not only gonna take you 10 minutes per day. Also, when it comes to trading, for example, I coach people on trading, how to generate income from the financial market. I hear this all the time. Oh, Matt, I don't have time for this. Instead of me saying, yeah, it's only going to take you 30 minutes per day. And yes, you can make 30 minutes. Yeah, come on, and you sleep half an hour less and so on. This is, again, arguing, yeah? Then I always say this, okay, I understand you're a busy person. How much time do you think you're going to need in order to be able to do this? Because people, when it comes to time, whether it's about courses, whether it's about doing a business, starting something, working with you, can be lots of things. Very often you realize that people in their head, they have a completely different way of thinking and different kind of imagination, how much time is actually needed. If I talk to people about trading and I ask them if I ask this question, how much time do you think is needed? I get all kinds of answers under the sun. 30 minutes, 1 hour, 5 hours, I need to sit in front of a screen all day and so on. And that's not how it is. So in this example, I would say this, yeah. How much time do you think is necessary? Oh yeah, probably 2-3 hours a day. Well, if that's your worry, I can take that fear away, because once you know how this works and you go through the learning process, if you can spend 30 minutes a day, particularly in the evening, for example, this is going to be all the time that you need. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you can rephrase it and ask people if it's about time concern and not being able to do this and so on. Ask them what they think is the issue. How much time do they need? What is the problem? And so on. Is it really a problem? Then, this is probably my favorite one of all times. I need to think about it. An argumentative person would say, now, what do you need to think about? Don't do that. I need to think about it. Then you could say something, okay, Mr. Customer, we have had a long conversation, discussed everything. This is also why it's important in the sales cycle to really go through all these steps, because you know what they're looking for, what kind of pain they have, how you can cure the pain and so on. If you don't do your homework, you don't do this properly. With a question like this or an objection like this, you're going to fall apart very quickly and you have nothing to hold against. Yeah, that's why it's so important to really do the sales cycle in a proper way. So I need to think about it. Then I could say, okay, Mr. Customer, we have talked about this, that, and the other. You told me that, this and that. I said that this is what we can do, how we can solve this problem, and so on. Is there anything else? This is kind of also what we said in the price conversation. Is there anything else, anything specific that gives you any kind of headache, any kind of stomach pain, or what makes you think that you're not ready to take a decision? Yeah, try to find out what it is. This is, again, something very often, this whole I need to think about it very often is an excuse. People just don't trust you, maybe. Yeah, so you need to establish trust. And if you do the sales cycle in a proper way, very often you already establish trust this way. But still, even if you do the sales cycle a perfect way, 100% match how you should do it, you could potentially still get this objection, I need to think about it. Yeah, but then don't argue with them again. Just say like, okay, we have discussed this, that, and the other. I have presented this and that to you. What is it in particular that still gives you a headache? And then you know, and then maybe the next topic will be, yeah, maybe it's about the price, maybe it's about the time, maybe it's about the effort, lots of things. We want to figure out with objection handling, is it really an objection or is it an excuse? So this is how you could potentially dismantle that one. Okay, then I have to discuss this with my friend, my business partner, my wife, my husband, the tooth fairy, lots of people want to discuss something with. So there's actually a way to dismantle this. I'll tell you in a minute, but there's also a way to prevent this. So when you have something that you're presenting to someone, whether it's a product, a service, an idea, whatever, and you have the feeling that probably this is something they would want to discuss with their partner, for example, with a business partner, with a life partner, and so on, you can actually take this away already in your scheduling process. So when you make an appointment with this person to have a conversation about what you want to present, you can already say, okay, Mr. Customer, please tell me whom would you like to bring with you to the appointment so I can send that person an invitation as well. And don't ask, if you paid close attention, I didn't ask, would you like to bring somebody? Whom would you like to bring? Which person, whom would you like to bring to this meeting, to this appointment, so I can send them an invitation too? Because now you have laid the foundation that if this objection comes to you, just show you again, this one here, I have to discuss this with my friend, my wife, my partner, the tooth fairy. Now you have laid the foundation already in the scheduling process to not get this objection, because now if somebody says, oh yeah, but I need to discuss this with my wife, for example, then you can say, I understand, but I did ask you whether or not your wife would want to join us. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you know, so you lay the foundation. This objection can still come up, of course, but if you do this already in the scheduling process, that you prevent this from happening, and you have the wife who needs to be part of the decision process for whatever reason, maybe you're selling life insurances or something, I don't know, then that person is there. And then you can say, if for example, you have a couple sitting there, they want to decide this together, you can say, if they say, yeah, I need to discuss this with her, you know, we need to have a conversation and so on, call me next week. Yeah, okay, I'll call you next week. Yeah, good luck with that. That's not what you're going to do. You will not call them next week. You will say, okay, I understand. I need to make 2 phone calls anyway, real quick. I will just be outside. And if you don't mind, if I could use your bathroom real quick, or if you meet in a hotel, I'm just going to go to the bathroom real quick, and then you can have a conversation. So now you're taking this away, this objection. They cannot object anymore. Maybe they still will, but then they may be not interested in what you're offering. But this way, you know, you give them the opportunity now, you leave, and you give them the opportunity to have this conversation that they need to have. And if you set this up the right way, that you invite this person from the beginning, then that's a better way. Yeah. However, if the situation is as it is, that the person is not there for whatever reason, maybe you forgot to invite them, maybe they said they didn't need the person and so on, and they say, I have to discuss this with, then you say, okay, I understand. How about if we call him, her right now and ask her real quick? That's another approach you can do. Then what you could also say, you can be a little bit cocky, but be careful. We don't want to get into an argument. You don't want to ruin a relationship that you have just built. You could say, okay, can I just ask you, what do you think your wife, your partner, your friend, whoever could possibly have against you doing this, buying this, getting into this, working with me, and so on? What could they possibly, excuse me, what could they possibly have against this? Yeah, so that you kind of even out the idea that there is actually no need to ask another person. Okay, so that's what you can do with that. Okay, now Nora saying she has to leave. Great meeting, connect with you later. Okay, very good, no problem, I understand. We just have a few more and then we are good. So I will call you next week or after the weekend. Also very popular, people want to try to get away. I will call you next week after the weekend and so on. Here you can say, okay, especially if it's about the weekend, for example, you can say, yeah, you know, Mr. Customer, I understand, but I really would want you to enjoy your weekend. And we're sitting here together now. So maybe you can tell me what's on your mind so we can have a conversation about this right now. Yeah, you're trying to be the nice person who wants to allow them for the weekend. Another thing in this context is also I need to sleep over it. Yeah, then you can be a little bit cocky. If you're a funny person, you can also use, of course, humorous stuff. Yeah, you can say, yeah, want to sleep over it. Okay, people who sleep are not thinking, and people who are thinking can't sleep. I don't want to rob you of your sleep. We have a conversation right now. So there's different ways to tackle this. But if somebody says, I will call you next week, let's talk after the weekend, try to take this away from them and saying, yes, I understand, but we're here together now. I would really want you to enjoy your weekend. I'm sure you have other stuff to do, and I don't want you to, constantly have this on your table for the next 5 days. That's why I would suggest, let's discuss it right now. What's on your mind? What else is there that you would like to have a conversation about? Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, so this is this is how you could handle that as well. Then very, very nice one. Actually, I will just put these two together. Send us your CV, and ideally to info@ and so on. I'm not sure if you're the right candidate for this job. So when it's about jobs, this is so typical. If somebody suggested to send a CV, send us your CV and then to an info@ email address. Please, under no means do that. By no means do that, because most probably you're never going to hear from them again. You could say, yes, sure, I can send you my CV. But while we're having a conversation, could you tell me what in particular you're looking in my CV for that I could potentially answer right now? Totally different versus, yeah, okay, I'll send you my CV. Yeah, good luck. 300 people apply for this job. Where do you think your CV is going to end up? So happy to send you my CV, but while we're having this conversation right now, could you tell me what in particular you're looking for in my CV? Is another way you can do this. Then the other one I put here in terms of career and interviews, not sure if you're the right candidate. You can say, okay, I understand. What kind of skill set do you think I need to work on in order to become a potential candidate? Different versus, yeah, but I know this, that, and the other. Why do you think I'm not the right candidate? I'm the best guy. I'm the best person under the sun. Yeah, no, this is not going to get you a job. So you can say stuff like I just said. What kind of skill set do you think I need to work on? What is missing? How could I potentially become the right candidate? Paraphrasing. Turn this around. You're not the right candidate. Under what circumstances can I become the right candidate? Just an example, yeah. Okay, good. A couple of people are already signing off. Yeah, don't leave too soon. Okay. Now, another one in terms of career, we have a lot of applications already. Yeah, it's very typical. Then you could say something like, okay, I understand you are a great company, it's a great job, etc. What should I do? How can I go on top of that list? Maybe a little bit cocky, but this is something that people don't hear. And when in sales, you manage to say things that people haven't heard from anyone else before, you have a very, very high chance of succeeding, because it's different. You activate their brain. They have to think about what to answer you. So if somebody says, yeah, we have a lot of applications already, I understand. What would I be required to do in order to get my application on top of the list? And see what the answer is. There's a million ways to handle these. Yeah, I'm just giving you a couple of examples. Otherwise, we'll be here for 2 days, 2 days straight. Another one, this is also from a personal life, and then after this, I have one more. All tables are booked. So you want to go to a nice restaurant, and you're being told all tables are booked. Now you can use an approach where you offer something, not bribe, that's not what I'm saying, but you could say, okay, I understand you're a very, very popular restaurant. I know you have a lot to offer. Great spot, very popular. How about if I quickly explain you, we're going to come with X amount of people. We're looking to spend X amount of money. Would this be something that would help you consider us as potentially having a table? Now, of course, you have to be truthful, but if, for example, you want to spend a birthday somewhere in a restaurant, you're going to be there with, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 people. You're going to spend the equivalent of, I don't know, 3,000 dirhams for a big birthday dinner for 8 people. This is something you should tell the person who's telling you that all the tables are booked, because if you call there, yeah, hi, my name is Matt, I'd like to book a table for Saturday evening, 8 p.m. For 6 people. Oh, I'm sorry, all tables are booked. Okay, I understand. You're a very popular restaurant, great food, great menu, great service, blah, blah, blah. But if I tell you that we're celebrating a birthday, we're going to be 8 people, and we're looking to spend the equivalent of approximately 3,000 dirhams, would that potentially help us maybe get a table? Doesn't mean that you're going to get one, yeah, but try. Don't give up too quick. It's just a couple of examples that you can use for your personal life as well. And then the last one, but by no means the least one. So those of you who are single, who are watching this live or on replay, not sure yet, in brackets, if I want to date you. This is something people hear a lot, yeah? So if you want to go out on a date with a girl or a guy, and they say, oh, I'm not sure if I want to go on a date with you. I'm not sure if I want to date you. Yeah, think about it. I don't know. Then you can, instead of saying and giving up easily, you can say something like, okay, I understand. Could you quickly explain to me what a perfect date would look like for you? And then let the person explain that. And then guess what? If you can, you should deliver exactly this date. You can say, but again, we have to be truthful, yeah? Don't lie, please. So if a girl says, oh yeah, you know, I'd love to go to, what's this place called in Dubai, Coco Bay, watch the sunset, and afterwards go for a drink somewhere and have a beautiful dinner and so on. And maybe we in the afternoon first, before we go to Coco Bay, we can go on a jet ski. Depends, you know. If this is what you can do, what you can deliver, you can say, you know what, that's exactly what I was thinking to do. Would that be something worth thinking about? Yeah, so there's lots of ways how you can do this. Again, it's just a couple of the examples I wanted to give you. Don't want to keep you here for too long. I also want to have enough time for the Q&A. So here again is a quick rundown of all the objections we've just been through. Take a screenshot. If you write all of this down, it's probably going to take you very long. Take a screenshot, take a picture with your phone. I will give you 60 seconds, and then we will see if you have any questions. And then I also wanted to tell you what we will do next week. So I'll just give you a moment to just take a picture and finalize your notes. I hope you took lots of notes. Okay, not sure if that was 60 seconds already, but anyway, I'm sure you managed. Otherwise, as always, a replay that you can watch, or I can go back later on to show you the screen again. But if you pay attention, you probably took lots of notes, hopefully. Now, going forward, what I would like to start doing is a new initiative, is to do shorter, smaller sessions, and I would like to do this on Facebook. So what I will do going forward in the next days and then in the next weeks is to do more Q&A related sessions, and I cordially invite you to be part of this. So what I will do is I will post on Facebook videos and talk about something, and then ask you to put comments in, and then in the next video I would actually answer your questions. So it would be kind of like an individual customized training session for you. So anyone who asks a question will get sort of a dedicated video. So if you like this idea, maybe you can put a thumb up real quick in the chat box or in a reaction if you think this is a good idea. Would you like to get some personalized videos? If you're watching the replay, you can leave a comment under the session if you find this this useful, if this is something great learning in a nutshell. Yeah, thumbs up. Thank you very much. So if this is something you would find interesting, then I would like you to go right now real quick to facebook.com/mattmoscvo. Otherwise, you can also just put my username in there under mattmoscvo. You find me everywhere. My main, let me just go over here. My main, the recording button above. Okay, 4 corners to choose from. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Mostly, if you just put mattmoscvo, you would find me. But Facebook in particular, facebook.com/mattmoscvo. Follow my page, and then going forward in the next days and weeks, we will do these individual sessions on Facebook. And I just want to have a more hands-on approach and see what we can do in that regard. However, I will open the microphones now to do a Q&A and see if you have any questions. So just going to allow you to unmute yourself. You should be able, so if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and then let me know what kind of question you have. And then we can see. So tell me if you have any question. If you can't unmute yourself, just put your hand up, or go and write in the chat. There are a couple of things in the chat. I will just go to that real quick. In the meantime, if you haven't done so, go to the Facebook page and follow the page. Let me just go through the chat real quick, see what kind of messages we had here. And let me see if I can answer those. So let's see. Hi, Matt, pleasure to meet you. Thank you. Yeah, this is that. Okay, can we get the recording? I already set this recording. I will make available the YouTube channel. I think my camera just went down again. Yeah, perfect timing, huh? Okay. Give me a second here. That's the wrong camera. We want this one. Okay. Yeah, anyway, then I will use the other one. It's the front view. Yeah, it's better than nothing. Anyway, so let me just go through here. Recording, yeah. So I will go and put it on the YouTube channel, and then you can watch that. If you just follow me on my Facebook page, there will be a link also to YouTube. So Arpan was saying purpose of objection could be to get clarity. Yeah, we talked about this. That's fine. I think we went through this. Nora actually already dropped off, but her question was, I'm always honest about my offering, opposite of fantasy. This usually works. What about that? Yeah, when I say fantasy, doesn't mean lie. Fantasy means painting a picture in a person's head. Yeah, so what kind of picture can you paint? What is this person looking for to get? This is the idea. Yeah. Let's see if I can bring the other camera back. Sorry, give me a quick second here. If you have any questions in the meantime, just put them in the chat box. Nope, it doesn't want to anymore. Okay, well, at least it didn't break down in the middle of the middle of the webinar. Okay, so yeah, so fantasy, what I mean by that is get to people to understand that what the future could look like potentially. Doesn't mean that it's fantasy in terms of it's unreal, like just looking into the future. That's what I mean. Then let's see what else we have here. Very useful. Thank you. Great meeting. We'll connect with you about your courses. Thank you. Happy to. Okay. Thank you for educating. My pleasure. Great learning in a nutshell. Thank you, Faraz. No questions as of now, Sir Matt. You don't have to call me sir. Yeah. Faraz wrote here, I like the concept of fantasy. You can align your proposal as per their future plan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Faraz, if you want to, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, great learning from Sir Matt, definitely, and getting a lot of magic points in the concept, definitely.
Okay.
Right now, most of the things are clear, so I'm just thinking which question I will raise because
Okay.
in a answer of all the things.
Okay, but the objections that you heard, you have experienced them in real life as well, I suppose, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
These are the major which we are hearing in our daily life.
Okay, so starting tomorrow, you're going to handle this differently.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, just let me know, and this goes not just for us, for everyone. Let me know how it goes if you apply this, and how you able to work differently, and what kind of results you get, of course. Yeah. Okay, good. If there's no other question, it was great. Thank you, Sarab. Appreciate it. Sarab, maybe I know if you have a question, I'm sure you get a lot of objections as well every once in a while. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to. Give you a second.
Yeah, Max, the questions are almost the same what you said.
Okay.
The other questions is like most of them are pretty much in the same line, more on the price only, which we get often on the pricing, which is very much high. That's the major thing.
Okay.
Apart from that,
yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, apart from that, most of the time it's the same thing. You get what you have covered mostly.
Okay, so do you feel that now, starting from tomorrow, you can do this differently?
Yeah, of course, we'll paraphrase it.
Okay.
And we'll try to do that. I used to do a lot of things, what you have said also. And yeah, but it will add some cherries on the cake.
Yeah, I think if you just take the heat out of the conversation, and this is what a lot of people
Yes.
do wrong in sales, yeah, that just make it mellow and smooth, and like you said already again yourself, paraphrase it and have a gentle and smooth conversation. This gives you much better results. Yeah. Okay, great, good. Ishan is saying, Matt, it was an amazing learning session. Great, happy to hear. Ishan, if you like, you can unmute yourself as well if you have anything to say, or you can tell us what you do. I don't think I know you yet. Otherwise, then.
Hi, Matt, this is Arpan here.
Yes, hi.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to listen to you, and it's great learning from all your posts as well. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you very
Taking
much.
it forward.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks very much. Yeah. So when you have conversations, what kind of objections do you usually get?
No, actually, I am still new to the work I'm doing. You know, I recently took up a job just to pay bills. So mostly the people are not interested in the kind of sales I'm doing. Even before telling more details, just when they hear the name of the company, they say, it's okay, I'm not interested. So,
yeah, I know. I think it was what you meant also with your comment. They shut you down before you even can pitch, right? Yeah. So maybe it's a matter of pitching, or it's a matter of sourcing. I don't know how you source your clients. We'll probably have to have a separate conversation, but maybe it's the sourcing. Maybe you're looking in the wrong places for clients. This could also be a reason, or otherwise it's the way you pitch. Yeah. So if I call people, for example, I don't say anything about a company name on. I say, hi, this is Matt. I will do a separate session about how to get through the decision maker, because this is also a big stumbling stone for a lot of people. This is something we could do as a first Facebook session, for example, that, you know, how do I actually get to present? How do I actually get to talking to the person that I want to talk to? Because a lot of people actually fail there. Yeah, but there's lots of ways how you can do that, and I'll do a separate session on that. Maybe this will also help you. But sourcing, Arpan, is super important, that you really know who are you targeting and are they the right people. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yes, sometimes words also make sense. Like for example, Matt, I am a manufacturer of locks.
Yes, I know.
So what they think, oh, you really manufacture? Then I leave that thing in blank, and then I start conversation. So that what happens is they think, oh, he manufactures, that means he has set up, it's a big company and all those things. Nah? Then it becomes easy, so they get interested. So sometimes it helps.
Absolutely. Yeah, I also use this because I can. I'm a German national, and I have no problem using my passport to to get an advantage. So what works for me, for example, very often, and this is then somebody, you know, is listening to this now, you need to figure out for yourself how you could use that, what kind of benefit you have. But very often when I call people and I just say to whoever picks up the phone, yeah, hi, this is Matt calling from Germany. Can I speak to XYZ? Very often, not always, but very often, I actually get put through, because people are like, oh, somebody from Germany calling, must be something important. So you need to figure out this for yourself. What kind of line, what kind of quick intro you could have to get people interested. But like I said, I will do a session about this in terms of how to get through to the decision makers. There's a lot more options. It's not only about, hi, I'm calling from Germany. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Good. Okay, great. Well, then it looks like we have answered all questions. If anyone still has a question, you can always message me. Like I said, go to facebook.com/mattmocvo, follow the page, and then I look forward to doing more sessions with you. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you found this useful. Looking at the comments, it looks like you did. And then I will see you again in another session next time, hopefully. And all the best, much success. I wish you 3 things: motivation to achieve, mindset to believe, and income to breathe. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Goodbye.